Good afternoon. How is everyone feeling today? So, the topic of today, I'm covering a little bit on mindset stuff because I really think it's quite a pressing topic, I guess. The reason why I say that is who watched the football on Saturday? I know that there are so many of my friends, for example, aren't football fans and they weren't interested in watching it, etc., etc. And I get that. But I think there was a large proportion of the nation who was watching the TV on Saturday night. Large proportion of the population were drinking and celebrating, especially when we had the final score. Now, I know that so many people are literally buzzing. They're on this really big high. And so we should be. You know, it is a big thing for football. It's a big thing for the England team. And it's exciting for our country. It's a way of bearing in mind what we've all been through in the last sort of 18 months or so. I actually think it's a great way of us all coming together as a country, as a community, and to celebrate something. Whether you like football or not, I still think that there is an element of celebration that we should be having as a country as a result. Now, I'm not a massive football fan. I have historically, I've gone to watch some football matches, but I'm not a die-hard football fan by any stretch of the imagination. But I wanted to support our country. I was with friends and, we watched the match and we celebrated. Now, the question I have for everyone is, how are you feeling today? Are you still feeling that high from the weekend? Because one of the things that I think we all go through is that roller coaster of emotions. We are always we can be either on that real high like we were on Saturday, and then it can be quite a crash sometimes when that kind of feeling has disappeared. And this for me is a lot about the whole principle of mindset, because ultimately, as a business owner and entrepreneur, you are always going through in business a massive roller coaster. There's just the way that it is. And there'll be some days where things are going brilliantly and you're like, yes, you've just won a client or a customer, or you've won a big contract and everything is coming together. Other days where you're looking at like the finances and you're thinking, shit, excuse my French, I don't know whether Facebook will pick that up. But you look at it and think, hang on a second, how am I going to pay all my bills? How the cash flow is really bad. Or you've had a major issue with a member of staff and you're like, well, now I've got to deal with HR and I've got to deal with this particular situation. So as a business owner, you really do go through that roller coaster. And what I'd be interested to know, and please do put some comments in the chat in terms of how do you deal with that roller coaster? How is everyone feeling, for example, today after the high of Saturday? Is everybody still on that high? How long does your high last for before you then feel that dip? Now, for me personally, I woke up this morning and I didn't feel myself. I didn't feel really positive. I didn't feel really excited. I just felt a bit meh. And I know that's a really strange word to use, but that was genuinely how I felt. And some of the strategies that I use, for example, to try and change that feeling is I did a workout. A workout is, definitely one of many ways in which I think people can try and burn off and get the endorphins flowing again, shall we say. But also, I love my motivational quotes. So you'll probably see quite frequently on my stories and in my Facebook and on my Instagram and even LinkedIn, I'm constantly putting motivational quotes. And I do it partly for me because it boosts me, but also I often feel like it could be one of the quotes that I put out there could just make a difference to one person that's, in my contacts where they might be having a meh day. And they just need that little boost. They need a bit of a reminder in terms of just to keep on going. So they're just kind of a couple of things. I also try, I talk about this a lot in terms of the law of attraction. And, it's about, what you think about is what you can affect, what can actually happen in your life. And, obviously there is always a case of you need to take action. It's not just a case of what you think you will achieve. There's got to be obviously the action that is associated with that as well. But I think in terms of, there is an element, I think, of self-discipline when it comes to your mindset to stop yourself from nosediving. And I think that, on the other hand, I think it's also sometimes it's okay to not feel your best. You shouldn't beat yourself up because you don't feel your best. There isn't anything wrong with that, but it's about how long you stay in that particular feeling for and what you actually do to come out of it. Because ultimately, it's not a good feeling. Why would you want to stay feeling meh or feeling a bit down or feeling a bit fed up? And ultimately, you want to pull yourself back out of it. So like I said, some of the things that I do the exercise, I do the motivational quotes. I also do, I keep a journal, I do gratitude lists, and, it's all about feeling, trying to make myself feel positive. I speak to my friends. I'm people who know me well know I'm a talker, and one of the best ways in which I can shift my mindset is if there's something that's playing on my mind, I talk about it. And sometimes all I literally need is just somebody to be there and listen. And a prime example was last night where something had happened and I was frustrated because I had felt like I had done all the right things. I had been really caring. I'd been really considerate. And then it got thrown back at me. And, in all honesty, I found it hard. And I spoke to a friend who was brilliant, and they just listened to me as they frequently do. And I shared how I had felt as a result of that situation. And by talking about it, it helped become clearer in my head. One of the things I often talk about is it's about reacting or responding. And a lot of times when something happens, as a human, we react. We don't respond, we react. And as a result of that reaction, that sometimes can actually do more harm than good. So sometimes it's a case of taking that step back, and it's a case of sleeping on it before you actually deal with that particular issue and respond to it. Because a response is you're not ignoring that the situation has occurred, but how you're actually dealing with it is not in an aggressive and emotional way. It's more of okay, right, that if that's the situation, right, how can we now try and resolve this, etc., etc. Whereas a reaction is usually where your fiery side and the anger. And I've got a couple of clients that I get, because when something happens, they tend to blow up. And what I'm trying to do is trying to teach them skills. So they're like, hang on a second, what is that? By blowing up like that, what is that ultimately going to achieve? Is it going to actually help the situation, or could it end up escalating it? And there are times when you have to be in business, you have to be a bit harder. I'm not saying it's a softly approach. What I'm saying is think about, are you reacting or are you responding to a situation? So, in terms of today, it's a bit of a mishmash of things from the high of the football. And, is the question I have is everybody feeling positive still, or are they kind of be like, oh, it's back to work today, and then of course, Wednesday will come and it'll be interesting to see what the emotional roller coaster is following what happens on Wednesday. So I think in terms of what I'm trying to talk about really today is it's okay to have, it's okay for your feelings not always to be positive. You are, as a human, you are entitled to feel, but it's about making sure you don't stay in that place and that you do things that make that shift. And it's just because your day might start off not brilliantly, doesn't mean your day has to stay like that. You can do things by shifting your mindset to make sure that the rest of your day isn't bad. Often when we can be stuck in traffic or the weather isn't that amazing, and those little things can really make a difference in terms of how we might start our day, but it doesn't have to dictate how the whole of our day needs to be. So I thought it was just kind of a few shares, I think, on the mindset stuff. I'll be interested to know people's thoughts in terms of, are you still on the high from the weekend, or are you feeling a bit meh? I would imagine there's a lot of people, particularly yesterday, were feeling rather hungover, so they probably were feeling a bit of the meh. But how are you feeling right now? Are you excited for Wednesday? Are you feeling good about things? Or are you kind of like, oh, it's Monday, it's the start of the week? Because I know a lot of people who, and I'm not just talking necessarily business owners and entrepreneurs, I'm just talking about individuals now, where sometimes, people have that they dread Monday mornings, maybe because they don't enjoy the job that they do. Maybe it's because of the fact that, they're not getting paid how they want to be paid, or just, the fact that, they have somebody at work that they might not get on with. And there's just that negative feeling about a Monday. One of the things that I have put up today, I think, on my story, and it's about, it's a quote where I'm talking about the fact that when people complain about everything, but they do nothing about anything. And I put it out there to you guys. Are you one of those people? Are you complaining about your life? Is there something that you could do to make a change? And if there is, even if you make that one change, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a big dramatic change, but is there one thing in your life that could make perhaps the Monday feeling not so bad? Or is there something that you could do that just makes life feel a little bit better? And what I'm just thinking, and I'll be interested, and you don't necessarily have to share in the comments, feel free to DM me, but I would love to hear some of the shares with people watching this to say, this is something I want to change. And I would love to hear what those things are. What is that what is that one thing where you don't want to feel, in terms of your Monday feeling, what could you change so you feel more positive about a Monday morning? Or on the other spectrum of, who looks forward to Monday? Who looks forward to working? Who looks forward to running their business? Who enjoys that? I really want to hear from people to know, what end of the spectrum are you? Are you the type of person that thinks, I dread Monday morning? Or are you the type of person that is raring to go first thing Monday morning? You love what you do, whether it's your own business, whether you're employed or whatever it is, but do you get a buzz from out of what you do? Please share in the comments, even if you're watching when I come off live, please do put your comments, please do DM me in terms of some shares. I'd love to hear the perspective of, tell me, are you still on the high or are you on the low? Are you feeling positive about the Monday morning, or are you not feeling positive? And if there is one thing that you could change, what would it be? So there are three things that I would love to hear your comments. Thank you very much for listening to me kind of sharing some thoughts. I really enjoy kind of sharing on social media in terms of some perspectives, because ultimately I love kind of interacting with people. I love hearing where people's perspectives are. They might have a different perspective to mine, but I do welcome some thoughts and feedback. So just as a quick reminder, are you feeling still the high, or are you feeling the low? Do you still get that positive? Do you get a positive Monday morning feeling, and or not? And if there is one thing that you could change in your life right now, what would it be? So I look forward to hearing and seeing the shares. Thanks for listening today, and I will no doubt be back here tomorrow at some point, sharing something completely random like I do, because I want to keep things interesting, and hopefully you enjoy hearing what I'm talking about, and I get some comments and some shares from you guys. So have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all at some point tomorrow. Take care.